Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be having a quick update on the tropics here. We'll be talking about where there's some good news in the Atlantic, the Eastern Pacific, not so much of the good news. Uh, we'll also be take a look into the Central Pacific as well. So the Pacific overall is very active, and the Atlantics have a little bit of ticket activity, and we have a new disturbance to watch, which we'll be talking about that. But let's have an update on Josephine, which is the tropical storm, which is I think this is the 11th earliest J name uh well the 11th earliest named storm on record. I think this is the 11th one. I could be wrong, but this is one of the earliest storms on record overall. It's also the earliest J named storm as well on record. So very active start to the season here. It's 40 miles per hour. It hasn't really gained much of intensity over the past yesterday. And yesterday morning, about 24 hours ago, it was firstly named as a tropical storm, and it has been maintaining its strength around 40 miles per hour all day yesterday and now into today. Although we do expect this to probably strengthen a little bit more till it starts to get to unfavorable environment, which is there's high amounts of wind shear out ahead of the storm, so that's going to tear the storm apart. Although some people are saying it's going to be a fish storm, it's not quite 100% going to be a fish storm because there is a threat that this system here can go to Bermuda as well, which is right there. So not 100% a fish storm by all means here. But you can see here what the cone here of uncertainty here. Here's your center of it right there. You can see we could see this continue to be a tropical storm for the next couple of days, and then eventually starts to die down by the end of Sunday, the evening, and then into Monday, Tuesday, and eventually getting towards Bermuda on Wednesday. Although forecast could change a little bit, but the model's in a pretty good agreement here that there's not going to be a threat to the United States with Josephine, which is some good news. However, it does pose a threat to Bermuda, but that can again change a little bit. So, not 100% a fish storm by all means, but Bermuda needs to watch Josephine a little bit closely. Even though it may be a tropical depression, it can still bring a decent amount of rain as well with Josephine. And let's talk about Josephine. So that's your infrared satellite image right now. Not quite organized. You do have some thunderstorms going on. Has really been struggling with some dry air and some wind shear. Not a whole lot of wind shear, but that will likely it'll run into some stronger wind shear, and that's what's gonna die down the storm. Now let's take a look into some hurricane models here. You can see here pretty much most of them are in a good agreement that's going to curve away from the United States due to the Bermuda High, and that's what's going to be, turning these storm systems. There's also going to be a trough coming in across the eastern United States, so that's also going to turn, this storm here. And ignore these two models here; they're pretty much outliers here. But most of the models are bringing it pretty much away from the United States. I believe that's Bermuda right there as well. So if anybody watching it from Bermuda, I'll be keeping an eye on this fairly closely here. And here's the intensity guidance here. And it seems like most models are going to let its strength a little bit more to 40 knots, which I believe that's up to 50 miles per hour, if I'm correct. And, um, and then it kind of dies down back down to a tropical depression. So, yeah, it's not going to strengthen all that much, and a hurricane is very unlikely with Josephine at this time. So that's some good news there with Josephine here. Let's go back here. We have a disturbance to watch here. I believe this is Invest 96L, I believe. At least what people on Twitter's been saying. It has a 40% chance in the next 48 hours and then a 50% chance in the next 5 days here. And this will be a fish storm. More than likely, and again has no threat to the United States and no other islands out ahead of us. So this could become a tropical storm. Most good chunk of models are indicating that this here could become a tropical storm here very soon. So we'll see if that happens. But again, like I said, this here does not have threat to the United States, and Josephine also does not have threat to the United States. So that's a pretty good news there with both of these here. Now let's move on to let's actually take a look into the European model to show you guys where these storms here will be going, especially with the disturbance up there. So there's Josephine right there, just when it hits some stronger wind shear, it just really dies down. At that point, that's going to be more of a tropical depression. But let's move it to this disturbance right up here, which at that point is pretty disorganized low, but at this point here, it's more of a tropical storm. You can see how it continues on moving to the northeast, and although it does show another system coming behind it there, but that could be falling behind that. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Let's see if the GFS shows that, and it actually does show that. So we may be having another system coming soon there. And I believe that's Josephine right there, actually a little bit further to the west. But it seems like it kind of stays stationary for a moment and then starts to move to the northeast and pretty much dies down. But it does have some rain to it. It has some rain with Josephine. And you can tell there, not a whole lot of rain for Bermuda. Although that could be pretty much a problem if 1 to 2 inches of rain's not that bad. There. So let's move back here and let's go all the way back here. Let's look into the Eastern Pacific here because it's been looking to be very active for the next quite a few days. Yeah, as you can see here, where I've been talking about this has the potential of becoming a hurricane, uh, has a 40% chance of the next 48 hours, and then it has 80% chance of developing in the next 5 days. This one here has an 80% chance for the next 5 days and 48 hours. We got a new disturbance that came up, and this here has a pretty decent chance of becoming a tropical system as well. 50% in the next 48 hours, and next 5 days will be a 60%. And we also have a tropical depression, 10E, with 35 miles per hour. If we click on this here, and it seems like it's not going to do much at all, more of a fish storm for tropical depression 10E. It's also looking to be sticking around there in the same spot for a while. And really, so far, these storms here don't really have much threat to land at all for these two, with what I've seen so far. But this one here does have a threat to Mexico, so we're going to keep an eye on that closely. And that's not the only one. We got another disturbance in the Central Pacific that will be missing to the south of Hawaii. Pretty low in chance of developing. Next 48 hours is a 10%. Next 5 days is a low end 30%. So for right now, this disturbance here does not have a threat to Hawaii, which is some good news there. Let's go to the European model here. And pretty hard to tell which system is which, but that's disturbance number one in the Central Pacific. That's Tropical Depression 10E. You got this is the system here I've talked about could be becoming a hurricane. Got another system right here that has a medium chance of developing, and you got this one here that has a high chance of developing. So very active stuff here, uh, systems here, and that could be another one right there. I mean, it's extremely active. So it seems like that there may have a better chance of developing than the other disturbance. At least that's what the European model is showing. GFS seems to be pretty similar on that, but as we kind of continue along, there's the potential of becoming a hurricane right over here. Let's turn on the winds here. Zoom in. At that point, that's a tropical storm. If we kind of continue on later down the road, it really starts to intensify. That's more of a strong tropical storm, and it seems like it does start to become a little bit more of a hurricane at that point. I'll probably say that's probably more of a hurricane at that point, which GFS does show that. And again, it doesn't have too much of a threat to at least this portions of Mexico for now, but it does have an overturn towards, I believe they call it the panhandle of maybe Mexico right there. we move back to European model, there's a pretty good agreement where the system here could be going. Here's the GFS model here. It actually continues to kind of go along on the west coast of this right here. I don't know what you call it, to be honest. And although it does get kind of close to California, there's San Diego right there from the GFS. The European model does keep it away from California as well. Although GFS does bring it a little bit closer, but I highly doubt at this point, I don't see this affecting California for right now. So, but we'll keep an eye on that system there very closely. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this tropical update. If you guys did like this tropical update, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put the comment section down below. I'll answer your guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.